Welcome, friends, and welcome to the 12th Holy Night. Um, we have arrived at the final night of the signs. There is one more night tomorrow night, the 13th Holy Night, which is a spiritual Holy Night, and I'll do a very brief live tomorrow night. But tonight's Holy Night is Neptune going direct, sorry, not retrograde, direct at 25 degrees Pisces on December 6th, 2023. My name is DeSutter. I'm a Certified Soul Level Astrologer. I'm a graduate of the College of Visionaries and Wizards, a school run by Mark Borax and Marcella Eversole. Mark Borax is my direct teacher, and I'm reading a transcript tonight from Ellias Lonsdale, who was Mark's teacher in the progenitor of star genesis from which soul level astrology came. So without further ado, here we go. So the Chandra symbol for 25 degrees Pisces is people and animals frightened during an eclipse. People and animals frightened during an eclipse. And Ellias says, please accompany me on the following journey. Neptune is a planet that's like being under an ultimate eclipse all the time. More than the lunar eclipse, it's like a cosmic eclipse. And I can see that there are some of you watching right now. If you are having difficulty hearing me, or you can hear me either way, if you would just tap a comment, and I would really appreciate that. I always like to check my sound. It's like a cosmic eclipse, you could say, in the simple sense that your senses are damaged. They're deranged. They're not damaged, they are deranged. You don't experience literal outer physical reality the way ordinary consciousness does in the realm of Neptune. Not at all. Now, I will concede right away that for most people, most of the time, especially these days, Neptune is a disaster zone. Neptune is impossible. It's unbearable. It's incredibly difficult for only one reason. We have developed an incredible tendency to be passive in the face of Neptunian experiences. We have developed this mediumistic attitude that if we pick up on subtle, subjective internal realities, that the only appropriate attitude is to kind of go into a trance, kind of let go and become transported by these things, and then treat the whole thing like it's a psychic world. We love that word psychic these days. It's a psychic world. It's a magical world. It's so beguiling, so enchanting. To have all these subtle impressions, to have guiding forces show us what's going on, to have all these inner experiences that are full and rich and amazing. So this is Anne. Ellias is poking fun at how we respond to this type of experience right now. He's not just poking fun at it, he's bringing our awareness to what we do that actually blocks the full depth of the experience. But we've lost our way with Neptune, and I am very Neptunian. Very. We have lost our way with Neptune. We have fallen for something, for sure. We have failed to recognize that the Neptunian space is the space beyond Uranus. And unless you've graduated from Uranus to Neptune, the Neptunian experience will be full of holes. It will be full of illusion. It will be distorted. It will be invaded. It will be everything but what it is really meant to be. You can't just kind of go out there into psychic land, have all these voices tell you things, and then treat that as automatically some fabulous world. Because when you have real Neptunian experiences, when you listen and the whole thing is happening in a crisp, clear, true, not so psychic way, you discover that the real Neptune is able to dissolve our ego rightfully. And that's what it's all about. So there's his definition of Neptune, or part of what Neptune does. The real Neptune is what dissolves our ego rightfully. This is Anne talking. Neptune is the great dissolver of the zodiac, is what Mark Borax has always said to us repeatedly, over and over again in class. Okay. Neptune is intended to wash us away, dissolve the limited framework of our separative ego mind. That is what Neptune's all about. But when we have these passive psychic experiences, we don't really go beyond our mind at all. We translate it back into the mind afterwards. And we still are prisoners of the mind, and therefore the whole thing is being translated in a false, worldly, external fashion. Now, I'm going to come on strong about this because this is the greatest danger in our times. We've had years of Neptune in Pisces, and boy, has Neptune in Pisces taken us on a ride. Only because we are so lacking in discernment about the difference between voices that speak the truth and voices that flatter us and entertain us and take us for a ride. We don't know the difference. It's actually an emergency. It's incredibly crucial. What happens in the eclipse in 25 degrees Pisces, people and animals frightened by an eclipse, is actually it's where the general eclipse in Pisces becomes known. It's where we face the fact that we've been in eclipse and that basically we have to clear and purge the entire false Neptunian world and become more fully who we are, rather than losing ourselves completely in these spaces. Now, this is a big, big, big thing, and I'm bringing up too much at once, but that's what I have to do. Okay, here is the punchline of this particular joke, but it's not a joke. You can tell the difference if you care enough to work with it. Everybody can. It takes some doing. It takes a lot of work, but it's well worth it. It's the greatest practice in the world. What do you have to do? You have to test the spirits. You have to take what's told to you and check it out and see what it does in your life. And you'll discover the telltale signs once you keep applying that, keep working with that. You will discover, and this is something I know from experience, I mean extensive experience, that when I was told things early on that were lies, I was told lots of lies starting in the commune cult in 1969. I was told a continuous round of lies. When you're told lies and you flow into them and become them, merge with them, what happens is you lose your sense of what's real and what's not. And you don't even think that there is such a distinction to be made. You just feel like whatever you're experiencing, that's it. There you are. And then you have these come downs and these long periods of time when you almost have to go cold turkey on the whole thing because you realize you don't have the slightest idea what you're doing. And this is Anne speaking, and I'm going to share something that Mark shared with us in class years ago, which is that the Neptunian distortion is the distortion that enters into just about almost every spiritual group or path or lineage on the face of this planet. This is the delusion to watch out for when you're doing any kind of spiritual group work. And I don't care what the group is, this is what enters into the space. So listen carefully, especially if you're someone who likes to do spiritual work in community, because this is what takes the whole thing and turns it from the light that could be happening into the shadow that gets played out. And most of the time, people don't even realize that that's what's happened. Now I'm going back to the transcript. And then eventually you come back around and you find that you do know what you're doing, but something has shifted. What has shifted? You've learned the sacred attitude which you lacked before. And the non-sacred version of Neptune, which is the common one that everybody's talking about all the time, what's actually happening is that psychic phenomena, sensational psychic phenomena, are taking people on an ultimate ride. And much of it is being guided by spirits that are very, very questionable. And that actually, as Steiner was at pains to talk about, and he was a Neptunian initiate. He's talking about Rudolf Steiner, who was the man who created Waldorf School, anthroposophy, and a form of farming. And I'm trying to remember what that's called right now. It's not coming to me. But Steiner was at pains to talk about this, and he was a Neptunian initiate, and he really laid down all this so clearly. The truth is that if you cross over the threshold, enter the spiritual worlds, and have these experiences, and you are not internally sourced in a sacred sensibility, what will happen is you will turn everything you're experiencing into like the way it's presented on TV, the way it's presented in movies, the way it's presented on the internet, the way it's presented in media. You will experience it exactly that way. Like everything sort of jumps out at you and it's totally full of special effects and absolutely exciting and thrilling. But it's not based on a connected, internal, nourishing, sustaining, renewing frequency at all. It's only there to distract you and divert you and take you off your path. Now, I'm somebody who went way off my path with this stuff. I'm speaking as somebody who has had the wildest time with Neptune. What was the real problem? What was I up against? Why was I so vulnerable and susceptible, so sensitive, so easily led? Which I certainly was. Well, only for one reason. It's important not to give yourself a hard time about these things. It wasn't like I was just lost, really. It was that I had developed in my generation, and each generation's gotten further with this now. But mine, the children of the 40s and the 50s, we were the first one to feel this way. My generation was sarcastic at best, full of irony, satire, cynicism, about just everything, nihilism, really. And that affected everything, especially our spiritual life, because it meant that we didn't have a spiritual life. And in that psychic life, we had a psychic life, and in that psychic life, we were constantly entertained by amazing phenomena, and they took us places. All we'd have to do is play the Beatles album on our stereo and play it loud and smoke a joint, and we were in woo-woo land. And we went so far with the Beatles and everybody else, it was fabulous. But what was it actually doing? I'm at a point these days so that when I hear the Beatles, I don't like it because I can feel that I'm getting hooked on it and that the whole point of it is to hook me. And I don't want to be hooked. Now that's outrageous to say that. I refuse to be hooked. The psychic phenomenon are like a little world that blows up into a huge world in which a part of us that I don't want to talk about in technical terms, an inner part of us goes way off the deep end into a space where we have the ability to hear and feel all these phenomenon that are there in the astral planes and that actually don't have anything to do with spirit with a capital S, and don't have anything to do with evolution, and don't have anything to do with the future, and don't have anything to do with who we really are. And we have this God-given, goddess-given ability to actually journey to the Grail Castle, to actually quest and find the keys to existence. And that's the one thing we're not going to do if we're busy stopping at every waterhole to be entertained by nibs and booze. Now I could go on like this forever. In fact, there's a part of me that would love to, but I'm going to cut it short. Not right away, but I'm going to sort of get to the point and stay on the point because I still want to talk about the 13th Holy Night as well, which will redeem this whole thing. So note to you guys, tomorrow night, the 13th Holy Night is going to redeem part of what we're not going to get to tonight. What is this really, really all about? What I'm talking about with Neptune. What it's about is that we know who we are and why we're here, and because we have been interfered with and messed with by so many ways to scramble our awareness and our reality, we don't quite have access to, or narrowly, these faculties that are so vital. I love being clairvoyant. I love seeing, but I consider it to be secondary, very secondary. What I really hear is voices. I hear what somebody is saying from inside. I hear them inside their voice. And that's much stronger than seeing anything. Wow, I'm just going to really take that in for a minute because I tend to hear more than see. This is Anne speaking. And I've always had a judgment that if I were really opened up, I would be seeing instead of hearing. So I'm just going to contemplate that a bit. Now he defines Neptune. Neptune is clairaudience, and it's what happens when we start to listen in silence, in peace, in stillness, in a state of faith and confidence, in creation, trusting and allowing, and no longer being this caustic, bratty, trendy character who basically treats everything as though it's either fascinating and compelling or it's not worth having anything to do with. Whereas really, when you're in a Neptunian space where you're not talking about it, thinking about it, it actually is a state of grace. It's a state where spiritual beings are present to you, and you may or may not be aware that they're present to you, but they are loving you, and you're being bathed in the glow of their love. And their love is elevating you to a place not of feeling that you're the center of the universe, but to a place where you can serve and give and be here for everybody and all of it real and true. Neptune is where it's at. It's what it's all about. It really is. And we have abused Neptune like nothing else ever since it was discovered in the 1840s. With every generation, we've gotten more carried away with it. Recently, we've gotten carried away with it. Excuse me. These Neptune and Pisces years have been something else because basically now we know Neptune as a total reality. And what we don't know is what we need to dive through it into the heart of creation where real living spirit will carry us forth. But there won't be any of this stupid, asinine praise and flattery that all these spirit guides are constantly giving people. They're constantly telling them that they are the center of the world and that everything is going their way and it's all terrific. And we're about to enter the 17th dimension and it's all just fabulous. No, it isn't just fabulous. This is a world that's dying and we need to get here for it. And having all these fabulous, fantastic things happening is the ultimate betrayal of the earth soul. I'm sorry to be this way. That's Ellias speaking, and now this is Anne speaking. I know I was just really, really heavy, but there's a reason for that, and I'm going to go on in the transcript to explain it. So bear with me through the heaviness, and I hope it's piercing. I'm doing it to pierce this delusion in myself, and I hope it's piercing this delusion in all of you as well. I'm sorry to be this way, but this is the truth, and you need to hear it from somebody sometime. You need to hear it actually from yourself. So I just have one more thing to say about Neptune to redeem the whole thing. There's one thing that's so beautiful about Neptune that it sort of transcends. There's a Neptunian word, transcending, transcendence. It sort of transcends everything I'm talking about, which is Neptune is the planet of Akashic recollection, of soul remembrance more than anything else. What do we remember when we remember through Neptune? We don't just remember, let's say, past lives or what it's like in spirit realms or amazing experiences we've had or something. We remember the fiber of our being. We remember the fiber of our being. We remember the essence of who we are in a selfless way, in a self-giving, loving way, not in a self-contained and absorbed in ourselves way. And that state is grace. That state is worth all the struggle, all the striving, just to find that, drop into that, and feel held. Feel held in the embrace of those that we're really connected with, who will not waste their time just entertaining us, who will actually insist that we develop ourselves and that we wake up and that we become responsible to the whole and not just caught up in what Steiner called cloud cuckoo land, or at least the English translation of what he said. We just really need to wake up and grow up now. And the terms of it are very severe and austere. And we don't have to be depressed about it, and we don't have to be anxious about it. We just have to really get on with it. And Neptune will take us so far, so brilliantly, if we don't ask for ego gratification from it, but only ask to be shown the way things really are in a vaster sense, where we're part of it and we're in it. But we are not the crown of creation. We're not the great ones. We are just one pivotal part of something so much bigger than anything we know. So that's the end of the transcript for tonight. And I hope that you can take that all in. I know I am going to be continuing to take that all in and really looking in the face with myself, the places where I get spun out into those delusionary realities. So please hear this message, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. And tomorrow night will be a very brief evening of the 13th Holy Night and hopefully a recap of the other 12. So thank you and good night.